You're listening to WVON 1690. This is the Talk of Chicago. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is Straight Words. We come to you every Tuesday night right here on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. My brother, the editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper, Brother Nabar Richard Muhammad, is the host of this show, creator of this show. I'm Brother BJ, and we got Brother James G. Muhammad, former editor of the Final Call newspaper. He'll be with us in just a few short moments, but we are here. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nabar. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, wa alaikum salam, sir. I'm doing pretty good, Brother BJ. How are you?
Brother, I'm doing well. I'm alive. I'm in the world, and I just thank God for another day, brother.
Man, I'm definitely with you on that, and this is this is really, there's so much going on, and we're looking forward to a great show tonight.
Yes, sir. We got
go ahead.
I was just saying, we got Sister Starla coming up in the 10 o'clock hour, or the next hour, in the 11 o'clock hour, Central Time. And then in the last hour, our famous photographer, Brother Haroon, he's going to be here. And this brother has been documenting the history of the Nation of Islam for years. He has so many stories and beautiful photos. I know he's going to share a lot of history with us tonight. So I'm glad we invited him on so we can hear his perspective of the Nation of Islam, Brother Naba.
Yeah, I mean, Brother Haroon is a really great, diligent, dedicated brother. I won't get into telling his story, but he's really a pioneer in this effort.
Right.
And he has continued to serve. He don't miss a beat. He don't miss an assignment. So I wanted to just take the opportunity to have him share, lessons and experiences about documenting the Nation of Islam and, the experience of Black people for several decades. But, Brother BJ, looking around, a lot going on, and a few things kind of caught my eye.
Yes, sir.
And the first thing was this strike by the United Auto Workers, which now joins a number of different. You got the Writers' Strike, the Actors Guild strike, and you've had these things on and on, And the biggest thing to me is that it really speaks to the orientation of the minds in this nation.
Right.
Because, believe it or not, and this is according to the Economic Policy Institute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since 1978, the compensation for the 300 biggest companies, the compensation for the CEOs, right, of America's 300 biggest companies has gone up 1,460%. Listen to this now.
Wow.
Since 78, what CEOs make, generally in terms of salary, stock options, and other perks, has grown 1,460%. And the typical worker's pay has grown just by 18%, and that's according to the Economic Policy Institute, which says that in CEO compensation also grew 37% faster than the stock market.
Wow.
So to me, when you talk about workers demanding more, I mean, I even watched my sister on CNN. Man, I can't think of her name. Beautiful sister. Last week, talking about this subject before the strike. And it was interesting that her questions all really lean toward being pro-CEO and pro this huge gap. So some of us may say, well, wow, the workers are asking for 40%? Yeah, because you know what? You know why auto workers are asking for that? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Do you remember back in 2008 when the auto industry was in trouble and the federal government put $80 billion of federal money? That's your money.
That's right.
That's your money.
Right.
They put into bankrupt Chrysler and GM. Right?
Yes, sir.
In 2008. So the union workers agreed to freeze wages. They made some concessions in terms of pension and health benefits. But what did they get back? Well, according to the Economic Policy Institute, their hourly earnings have fallen 19%. So over the same period of time, though, and this is from a CNN.com article, CEO at the big three Detroit automakers, GM, Ford, and Chrysler's parent company, which is now Stellantis, has jumped over 40%.
Right.
So since 2008, listen to this now, workers took a hit, auto workers.
Right.
And since 2008, the CEOs of these companies, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, which is the parent company for Chrysler, CEO pay has jumped an average of 80%. 40%. 40%. And now workers are saying we want our pay to rise 40%.
Right, right.
So, it's interesting to me that there's very little discussion and very little question about this compensation for CEOs. There's always an excuse for those that make money to make more money. With everybody kind of going along, then all they have to say is, well, we can't pay the workers more because we're going to need this money to invest in what they're saying is electronic vehicles. And if we give the workers more money, then we're not going to be competitive. Liars, man. Just straight liars.
What do you see in comparison with the Writers Guild of America, that strike? Because they've been on strike since May. Yeah. And do you see any parallels between the auto workers strike and the Hollywood strike?
Yeah, I think you get whether you're talking about writers or actors, right?
Yes.
One of the things that the Actors Guild has been saying is that, a majority of people that are professional actors don't do it full time.
Right.
And they don't do it enough to even qualify for health insurance from the Screen Actors Guild, because you've gotta make a certain amount of money, or have a certain, basically you got to be acting at a certain level to qualify for the health care plan that's offered by the union. And so the other thing is, again, man, you look at the actors and the writers as well, but with the actors, you got this whole thing now of artificial intelligence. You got now where the studios, like if you're an extra, right, you just show up, you're in the background, and you're part of a scene. And you get paid for that day. Well, the big movie companies want to be able to take your image from that one scene, basically replicate it, and use it whenever they want, and don't pay you a dime.
Right.
Don't pay you a dime. So
I'm just looking at this. Yeah, I'm looking at this, brother, because I don't think that the Hollywood strike is going to end like the auto worker strike. I think the auto worker strike, I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to concede to their demands. But with the AI and all the new technology. You know, I said this to somebody today. I said, I think if they did pay them, they would only be paying them out of the benevolence of their heart, because they really don't need them. Because, guys, you know, Hollywood has changed. You know, people, I think they're going to try to starve these people to death, because people have lost houses. They've lost, you know, cars. They lost everything during this strike. And you know, there was a couple of shows that wanted to come back online this week. And I think Jennifer Hudson was trying to get her show back in production, and they went back on the strike line because people were complaining about it because they broke it. But I just don't see that ending too well, because, I mean, look, even in the radio business, brother, they got AI DJs.
Wow.
And, you know, I ain't got to pay no salary. I ain't got to pay no health insurance. Ain't nobody going to talk back to me. They're going to come to work every day. I mean, this thing has really fast forwarded quickly.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to get creative in the future, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Andy, the other thing, again, for me, you know, as a writer, photographer, journalist, is that whatever you get out of artificial intelligence, it's based on what you put in, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what are you putting in? You're feeding into these programs or algorithms or however you describe them, whatever they are, right? You're feeding knowledge and information and presentations that people have made.
Right.
So basically, in my view, you're basically stealing. You're stealing content. You're feeding it into this new technology. And you don't want to pay the people that created your original content, man.
Right.
This is I think what we're really, you know, we're looking at. And again, to me, it comes back to the basic attitude in this country. You know, there used to be the saying, the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules.
That's right.
That's what we're looking at. And I mean, it makes me think about. Even in professional sports, right? When a player holds out for a bigger contract, then there's always a talk about, where's your love of the game? You know, where's your love of the sport? We're supposed to be a family, da-da-da-da. But none of that comes into play when that athlete loses a step.
Right.
And now they're shipped off or they're cut. You got in the National Football League now, right? You got running backs that have done well, that are basically trying to enter into a second contract, right? They had a multi-year deal when they first came in. They're trying to now get into a second contract. They're having difficulty doing that.
Yeah.
Because they're seen as replaceable cogs, man.
Right.
And as this country continues down this road where America doesn't produce too much anymore, there's no respect for the contributions of ordinary people. All of this is doing, in my view, is setting up more and more erosion, more and more poverty, more and more people that can't afford rent, can't afford food, can't afford mortgages, as the bloodsuckers of the poor. That what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called the 5%, and what is often referred to as we talk about this thing is the 1% growing richer and richer, man. And
yes, sir.
I don't think that's a good indicator for a healthy country or a healthy society. How can you, if you are a company, just continually suck everything out of your customer base?
Right.
And put nothing back in and ship jobs overseas, you know, so you get the products for less, but you do no reinvestment in the market where you're really making your money, man. It's not good. Yeah. So that's one thing that hit me. Let me get to a couple other things. This is something else. I don't know if you heard about this, but Jan Wenner, who is the founder of Rolling Stone magazine. You heard about that?
Yes, sir. I saw that yesterday.
Yeah, he's got a new book coming out where he did 7 interviews with quote unquote white male rock and roll icons. You got to put icons in quotes, right? White.
Yeah.
So basically, he did an interview with the New York Times, and he basically said that he was asked, why didn't he include women? And he basically said that he didn't include women because he just felt that there were no female musicians who were, quote, unquote, as articulate enough on an intellectual level as these white men that he interviewed. Now the thing that gets me, this is the thing that really gets me. You know, you got to look at what's the title of the book, right? What's the title of the book? The book is called The Masters. So right. I guess the masters to him mean the old slave masters.
Right,
so then he was asked, you know, he was asked about the female rock and rollers. Then he was asked about black artists.
Right.
And he said that he got a sense of how they would speak by listening to their music and reading interviews with them. So, you know, he
said they're not articulate. They're not articulate enough.
And he said that then he goes on to say, now after these gross insults, and this gives you something, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, into the continued thinking of white people. I don't give a damn how liberal, how much of a friend, whatever they are, right?
Right.
This is from WBEZ.org article online. So they quoted him as saying, you know, this is the man who's writing, the white man writing a book about the masters. You know, just for public relations' sake, maybe. Now look at how insulting can you get.
Right.
You know, just for public relations' sake, maybe I should have gone and found one black and one woman artist just to include here that didn't measure up to that same historical standard just to avert this kind of criticism, which I get it. I had a chance to do that. Maybe I'm old-fashioned and I don't give an expletive or whatever. I wish in retrospect I could have interviewed Marvin Gaye. Maybe he'd have been the guy, one guy, right? One black guy. Or maybe Otis Redding, had he lived, would have been the guy. So what about rock and roll originally being a black art form?
Right.
What about that? Stevie Wonder, and not a genius?
Yeah. Right. Bob. Go ahead. Finish that, bro. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, Talking Book, on and on, but he wasn't worthy. This just shows you how white people think, man. So when you're dealing with them, no, this is the mindset.
That's right. But you got Bob Dylan, John Lennon, Springsteen, all these guys pay homage to the black artists because they know they got all their music, all their guitar riffs and style from us. You know, we the originators of it. And, you know, what was the brother, Little Richard told you that.
That's right. That's right.
So, you know, in the music business, and it's run by the synagogue of Satan. We might as well go ahead and just say it like it is. Mm-hmm. You know, they are the managers and the curators of our talent. We don't own our own talent, and we don't tell our own stories. So he gets to write a book as one of the founding members of that magazine. And what he puts out, Rolling Stone, and what he puts out there is like an authority type thing where, you know, you would take him as an authority on it, but he's absolutely not. And that's why we have to get our own stuff. We got to, you know, I wasn't really offended by it because we know how people think. It's just like in the media business. I mean, Everything that in radio, in television, these are set up by middle-aged white men, and they set up a system that everybody goes by that you think is the standard, and it's not. Yeah, and we got to get out of that kind of mindset of thinking that, okay, well, if you don't do it this way, it's not up to standards. If you don't do it this way, if you don't say it this way, it's not good enough. And you're going by white people's standards.
Yeah. Now you mentioned a certain group that has had disproportionate impact, control, benefited from black talent in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
There's a group called the Black Jewish Alliance. They were formed a couple years ago, right? And they're supposed to be about, quote, helping to better understand each other's histories, blacks and Jews, and provide much-needed allyship. So on September 14th, this group, the Black Jewish Entertainment Alliance held a panel discussion, and they had the brother Exhibit, the rapper, TV host, radio personality, his manager, Steve Riskin, rapper Lazy Bones of Bone Thugs and Harmony, his manager, Steve Lobel, rapper Magic, he's one half of a Jewish hip-hop duo called Blood of Abraham. So this article says that the BJEA was created to bridge the communities. But do you see where we're starting from? We're starting from rappers and their managers. Who do you think has the power in that equation, right?
Right.
Who do you think has the power?
That's
and
right.
So in the article, the brother Lazy Bone talks about, how he's been under the under this with this manager for 30 years, and at a certain point he was kind of having some trouble, and he at one point he was worried about what he was going to do. This is Lazy Bone, of course, Bone Thugs and Harmony. His brother was going to jail. What am I going to do? And he said, what are we going to do? This is Lazy Bone speaking. And Steve said, stay focused. Then he says, the Lazy Bone says, that was the best thing I needed to hear at that time. Well, what else did you expect a manager of an act that gets paid because you perform and record? You think they're going to tell you, why don't you just take some time off? Get your mind right.
Right.
Get your mind right. Then they talk about they throw Eazy-E in here and da 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 da. But my question, and this is why I think we as a people, man, we really got to be careful. We too quickly label people friends. And if you have an economic relationship with this manager and you're black and they happen to be white, okay, I can understand that. But how is that personal relationship, which is a business relationship, at its core, right?
Yeah.
Because you think they're going to keep you around if you stop performing in some way? Or they're not able to get you jobs in some way? You think they're going to keep you around and pay you and support you just because they're your friend? Doesn't work like that, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
So even if there's a good individual personal relationship, how does that translate into relationship between communities? It doesn't.
Right.
So when you look at the Jewish communities, the Baki decision, which killed affirmative action. The Jewish groups and Jewish organizations in 1979 were with Alan Baki in this move, the Supreme Court decision, that really killed affirmative action. You got it lingering around here and there a little, but essentially that decision killed it. But not only that, brothers and sisters, these people, members of the Jewish community, the ADL, the American Jewish Committee, and others, the Anti-Defamation League, I said the ADL, have for the past, 40 years, just about? And not to mention now, because see, we don't even know the history. We don't even know the history. So we don't appreciate what we're looking at. But when Reverend Jesse Jackson ran for president in 1984, and you may think that's a long time ago, but let me say this to you, brothers and sisters. There is no Barack Obama becoming president without what Reverend Jesse Jackson did in 1984 and 88. Because he flipped the whole Democratic primary structure for delegates, for how credit would be given according to how many votes you amassed. Well, Reverend Jackson made a comment. He called New York Town, and he was referring to Jewish power in New York. Okay, the Jewish community said it was a slur, and then they really started attacking him. But you know what the real problem was? That wasn't the real problem. That was an excuse. The real problem was Reverend Jesse Jackson was calling for a balanced policy in the Middle East between where the Palestinians would be treated like actual human beings, and there would be some kind of way to find some concessions with Israel to bring more justice. Anyway, these people started threatening Reverend Jackson. One of his offices was attacked. I think there might have been firebomb one of his campaign offices. And Minister Farrakhan stepped in. This is in 84, 85, 84, and said, basically, if you have a problem with Reverend Jackson, you should sit down and talk to him. We can afford to lose an election. We cannot afford to lose our brother because the minister saw the dangerous climate. You had these Jewish people and Jewish groups taking out ads in newspapers that said, ruin Jesse, ruin. And you know why they said ruin Jesse, ruin? Because they were mocking blacks who were saying, run, Jesse, run. So from there, and the minister strongly defended Reverend Jackson now. It wasn't no weak defense. And he said something like, we as black people are tired of feeding our leaders to white people like raw meat to animals. He didn't say we're tired of Jewish people. He said white people. Well, the day after he said that, Nathan Perlmutter of the ADL and Nate Hentar of the Village Voice in New York were calling this man the new black Hitler. Now check that out. Because you disagree with what I'm saying. You don't just say, I disagree, Reverend Jackson's words were harmful and hurtful, and it's going to take a lot for him to make that up. You call a black man by the name of a white mass murderer. And one of the things the minister said early on was, don't compare me to your wicked killers. And it's been since that time, brothers and sisters, since that time that the minister has been attacked. But not only that, but one of the reasons why this group, this group we're talking about, that sponsored this event, one of the reasons why this group, the Black Jewish Entertainment Alliance, came into existence was because these people were afraid of Minister Farrakhan's influence. They didn't like rappers and artists seeking counsel with him. They didn't like Jay Electronica giving a shout out to him on an album. They didn't like Jay-Z mentioning the minister in lyrics. So they came out with this, and they continued the slander of the minister. And not only that, brothers and sisters, but there's ample evidence out there. If you just go to finalcall.com and just Google Black-Jewish relations, entertainment. Or if you just Google, period, and see what's out there. Remember Ice Cube. Remember Ice Cube now. You
Right.
remember you remember the famous story when he was with NWA, right?
Yeah.
Ice Cube, and his money wasn't right. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And he had to take a baseball bat. Right?
Mm.
He had to take a baseball bat to confront a record executive, okay, over him not getting paid, man.
Right.
Over not getting paid. And I'm trying to find the Ice Cube had left NWA, signed a deal with Priority Records. And Brian Turner said the CEO promised Ice Cube he would pay the rapper more money for his album, America Most Wanted, because it outperformed their forecast. And that was a heck of a album, man.
Right.
So but he didn't come up with the money. So Ice Cube came up with the baseball bat and just wanted his money.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So and there are other instances. There's other instances in which we have seen black talent exploited over and over again.
Brother, we got Cliff on line number 1. Let's go to Cliff on WVON 1690, the top of Chicago. You're on.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Thank you for taking my call. I'll be brief. Just to add to the conversation, remember what happened to Kanye West? You know, Kanye West that brother's like completely gone now, but he was right. And all he simply said was, in reference to the Jews not paying him, you know, and then as a result, you had Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, that was pretty much attacked. And all he did was mention the book Hebrews to Negroes by Ron Dalton, basically saying that the New Testament basically describes brothers and sisters that are really we are the true Hebrewites in the Bible, which black preachers don't even want to touch. You know, so again, you know, to your point, gentlemen, thank you so much for bringing this up. You're the only ones, you know, on WVON that brings these things up. That's why I'm so thankful for your program. You know, it has nothing to do with politics. Got nothing to do with Negroes, man, being loyal to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. This is a way of life. And that's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan represents, a way of life for the advancement of black people. So I'm so thankful. And, brother, I will donate. I've done before. And so certainly make sure that you mention that Cash App so others can do likewise in terms of supporting this excellent program. Thank you for taking my call, brothers.
Thank you, brother.
Really good salam. Thank you, man. Thank you. And I really appreciate it, Cliff. I really appreciate it because I wrote an editorial back in 2021. And if you go to finalcall.com, you can find it. The title was Performers, Producers, Paternalism, and Black-Jewish Relations. So the other thing about this coalition, which had at that point 170 quote-unquote entertainment leaders, right? They came together after a couple things. One was Jay Electronica's a written testimony, which was released to acclaim. And the other one was this Busta Rhymes release, where he paid tribute to the Muslims and paid tribute to the Nation of Islam. So, brothers and sisters, we just have to really understand and not be misled and not misunderstand. The question is how much power do you have to determine your own destiny? Or how much power do you have to benefit from your own talent, right, and your own skill? Or are you just a modern day sharecropper?
You know what? It reminds me too of that story about Too Short. You remember the story about Too Short when he wanted to make a positive album, and the Jewish producers told him to make the filthiest, funky album that you could ever make, and we'll put that out first, and then we'll let you make your positive album. But he never got a chance to make it. And it reminds me of this artist that's out on the charts right now named Sexy Red. I don't know if you've seen that song, brother, but this song right here will go down in history as one of the most filthiest songs in Black America. I can't even repeat the hook line on it, but our babies, if y'all don't know this song, y'all want y'all to just type in Sexy Red, and you'll see this sister that I see these Jewish producers around her, encouraging our young girls and young women to repeat this. And I saw a video of them at a concert, and to see our women repeating the hook line on this song, I'm like, oh my God, it's over with. And so when y'all listen to the radio, you are listening to music that's distributed not by Black people, because Black people don't have the power to put a record on iHeartRadio, Cumulus, or any of the large major companies that do radio. You can't do it. You can't just bring your record up there and they'll say, oh, this is a positive record, we'll play it. This is a system, and you wonder, well, why don't they never play no positive song? Why every song on the radio got us in the bedroom? And like the minister said, these people got us living in each other's crotches. Yeah. And you wonder why our society is the way it is. And behind the scenes is some old white Jewish men that run the distribution of Black music, or who are the managers, and is backed by them. So we are pawns until we get our own stuff. And somebody asked me one day, said, brother, so why y'all, when I was doing, hip hop radio, why y'all play all these songs on the radio? I said, brother, I'm trying to be the balance between that, but I have no power to stop the playlist that you hear every day on this radio station. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, brother, we in trouble. Yeah, we in trouble. Yeah, but the minister tried to warn them. Yeah. Well, I was going to finish. The minister tried to get in front of this by getting with the artists, and we can't let them off the hook because they're complicit as well because of the money. And you compromise your principles to get money, and that's what's going on right now. Yeah, and but the other thing, Brother BJ, is a lot of these people now that's making money, they're young. Yeah, they're young. They're young. Right. But even some of them, like Cardi B and Young Miami, have had children and gotten a little older, right? Have been saying that they don't necessarily like or want their daughters or their children to listen to their music. So what do? You bring out who? You said the sister Sexy Red? Yeah, Sexy Red. You just bring another one up. Now, and let me say this, brothers and sisters, and again, this is the importance. This is the importance of history. In 1995, Michael Jackson, the great one, released an album, right? His song was called "They Don't Care About Us." Mm-hmm. Among the lyrics was "Jew me, sue me, kick me, kike me." Those weren't the only lyrics, brothers and sisters, because the whole song was about injustice and about those with power
disavowing and demeaning and devaluing those that they had power over or they were able to dominate. Don't you know, brothers and sisters, the Simon Wiesenthal Center and Jewish groups came out and told Michael Jackson they don't want them lyrics, him and Sony Records. And they demanded that he remove the offensive lyrics from the album. That's what Michael did. And this is according to, I'm going to give you a source now, don't worry. This is according to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. This is according to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. I'm not making this up. This is what they say. Michael, I'm reading from their website now. Michael responded by personally calling Rabbis Heyer and Cooper and expressing his deep remorse. Then following up with a letter where he wrote, quote, "Unfortunately, my choice of words may have unintentionally hurt the people I wanted to stand in solidarity with." Check that out now. Quote, then it continues, "I intend to include in all albums that have not been shipped as of this date the paragraphs above so that no one can listen to my music and misconstrue my intentions." This is the Wiesenthal Center now. Mm-hmm. True to his word, not only did he do that, but a week or so later, he went back into, listen to this now, within a week, he went back into the studio, deleted the offensive lyrics, and re-recorded the song. See, brothers and sisters, that's power. That's power. There was no talk about his artist's right to perform. His ability to be creative should be respected and protected. See, there was no talk about he's just trying to reflect and illustrate reality. See, all the stuff that black artists are allowed to do with killer nigga music, being hoe music, pimp and Glock music, Molly and Percocet music. See, they will allow you to do anything, or allow us rather. They will allow us to do anything when it comes to disgracing ourselves.
I think we got brother.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir, brother Robert. Yes, sir.
Hey, brother James.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Naba. Yes, sir. Please forgive my tardiness.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Yes, sir. I think we got brother Robert on.
We're going Robert
on the line.
Okay, yes, cool.
Sir. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. I was just listening and observing, and I just wanted, with your permission, brother Naba, to reference two books on the subject.
Go ahead.
One of the books is by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is called The Fall of America. The second book is by the Nation of Islam Research Department, which is The Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, How Jews Gain Control of the Black Economy.
Right.
Now, these two books where I'm referencing because of the conversation what BJ said earlier and yourself when he said about Hollywood strike and the car industry strike with the union, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you made the statement about them bailing them out, that was 2008 under the Barack Obama's administration.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He actually bailed them out. And when BJ made the statement saying this thing is going fast, The Fall of America, which was published in 1973 by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we really need to go and read that book.
Yes, sir.
Because it's going fast. And the last thing I want to say is this is absolutely an awesome show. This is my second time on. I just listened. But what brother stated, Brother Clarence, this is very appreciative because it's getting the information, not only the information out to our people, but looking at what the Jewish and the synagogue of Satan is actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just made a statement, and I'm going to conclude on this. He said, if not all, most of our athletes in music industry have some type of Jewish authority under them.
Right.
So when the brother referenced Kanye and Kyrie, that's absolutely correct. And so my last thing is the war Armageddon has begun.
Yes.
So thank you all, brother, and I'm continuing to listen.
Thank you,
Brother
brother.
Rob. Thank you for calling in and citing those two important books, The Fall of America and The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, which is part of a series. And I don't want us, brothers and sisters, to think that we are somehow or another attacking or hating on Jewish people. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is pointing out an unequal relationship and how that relationship has impacted us. The other thing is the synagogue of Satan is not just Jewish people. Let me be clear on that.
Right. That's right. Thank you.
Let me be clear on that.
Right.
It's not just Jewish people. When the minister refers to that, that's not what he's saying. He's saying Jewish people are in that group, and it's really language from the Bible that it says, those who call themselves Jews but are not, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan. Why? Because you have people that are not practicing righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not in the synagogue devoted to Jehovah and righteous behavior. They're in another group that is devoted to unrighteous behavior, Jews being among a certain class of Jews, being among the leaders, and others joining in. So we just want to be clear. But again, you can go to finalcall.com and just search Fall of America. Beautiful articles will come up. Search see a relationship between blacks and Jews, and information will come up. Real information and information often taken from Jewish sources, Jewish scholars, where their involvement in slavery is detailed and their involvement in other activity is detailed as well. Okay?
That's right. Yeah, the synagogue of Satan involves all colors. You know what I'm saying? We got some black people that's wicked that help facilitate this. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we not wicked by nature. We wicked by circumstances. And when you go along to get along, you are, like the minister said, he said, to know the truth, what you're doing to your people, and then be complicit in the destruction of carrying this thing on because you want to check, then you are just as guilty as the ones that we're always condemning. I said, you right in the boat. And, you know, you got to make a decision in this entertainment game. Either you want what's right, you want what is from God, or you want what is from Satan.
Yeah.
And you got to make a decision. Ain't no halfway in or halfway out, you know, when you're in the entertainment business. So, I mean, for all the brothers and sisters that are out in the rap game, you know, this is going to come to an end. And you better make sure that you're on the right side of history when the fall of America, as we're in the fall of America today. So God's not playing with us, brother and sister. When you see that song by Sexy Red, the name of the song is called Pound Town, and your babies are in the back seat singing the lyrics to this song. And like the minister told us a couple of Savior's Day, he said, we at the end of the end, you will know that we have really succumbed under the power of Satan. And we got to get it right. There's hope if we submit to Almighty God Allah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right. And I'll say this, Brother BJ, and you can take us to the top of the hour. The Holy Quran and the minister says that Allah would not punish them if they were making repentance.
Right, come on.
Brothers and sisters, whether you're in the rap game, the police department, government, politics, business, be principled about what you do. And
That's
you
right.
can be more principled the more you learn about yourself and learn about the time and what must be done. And hopefully we're helping to facilitate that process. All right, Brother BJ, you can take us to the top of the hour if you need to.
All right. Well, our great brother, Brother James G. Muhammad, editor of the Final Call newspaper, he's going to be talking to our great managing editor of the Final Call, Sister Starla Muhammad, about this week's paper. And that's coming up in the next hour. You can hit us up, brothers and sisters. Make a donation, $ Straight Words on Cash App, $ Straight Words on Cash App, on Zelle 312-480-9775. We'll be back on WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago. Welcome back to Straight Words with WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago, every Tuesday night from 9 until midnight. We're here on this historic platform. Brother Nabar Richard Muhammad is the host of Straight Words. I'm Brother BJ. Of course, our great brother, former editor-in-chief, Brother James G. Muhammad is in the studio. And, of course, we'll be joined this hour by Sister Starla Muhammad, who is now the managing editor of the Great Final Call newspaper. Brothers and sisters, you can donate and help us out as we bring this program to you. You heard the brothers showing their appreciation for the content that we're providing for everybody every week. And we really appreciate that, brothers. But we would really appreciate if you hit that Cash App today, hit that PayPal today or that Zelle, and $ Straight Words on Cash App is how you can make your donation. That's $ Straight Words on Cash App. On Zelle, 312-480-9775. That's 312-480-9775.
Come on, you okay?
On PayPal, that's Straight Words, the number 4 at gmail.com. Straight Words, the number 4 at gmail.com. I want to send a shout out, of course, to our producer in Charlotte, Sister Jeanette Muhammad. Thank you so much for all the work that you do to bring this program to us every week. So, Brother James G, assalamu alaikum, brother. How you doing, big bro?
Walaikum salam, Brother BJ. My brother, how are you? And Brother Naba. And was that Capano that we heard in the background?
No, that was Camo. That was her little sister in the background.
Oh, okay, well, give them all the greetings of assalamu alaikum.
Well, we certainly will, big Brother James. We certainly will. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, brother.
And real quick though, Brother Naba, we did get a chance to see the highlights of Sister Capano perform at the Inglewood Jazz Festival. Brother, woo!
Oh, yeah.
He did that thing.
Brother.
Yes, sir. Watch out, Jazz
brother,
World.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I was really, I tell you, man, I'm a proud dad, so I'm gonna keep this short. As I watched her perform, the thing that impacted me the most was watching her be herself.
Yeah.
And this is my daughter. She's a brilliant vocalist and musician, multi-talented musician. But she has decided to use her skill and her gifts in the way that she wants to, and in a way that supports our culture, that preserves our culture, and that really is about the upliftment of our people. That's really the proudest thing for me, because she made that decision, brother. And, her mother did her mother an incredible job in finding opportunity for her and all of my children. And for any man that has children, brother, pay homage to the mom when you know she's doing her thing, whether you're with her or not.
That's right.
Tell the truth and always respect her.
That's right. Peace.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. And if you go to my Facebook page, or if you go to my Instagram, you can get some of those videos.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Man,
brother.
it was beautiful. She had a note, brother. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think you lost all your vest buttons at that show, brother.
I
You
really
had
did.
about 6 of them when you came in there. When you left, you didn't have none.
I'm telling you,
So
man.
proud, my brother.
I really was.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I really was.
Speaking of great black women, let's bring on this sister that we have on the line now, the managing editor of the Final Call newspaper. I might add the greatest newspaper in the world, Sister Starla Muhammad. Sister Starla, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Wa
salam.
alaikum salam.
Yes, ma'am. You holding it down. You doing a great job, my sister. You are
Oh,
an
praise
MGT in all sense of the words, right there.
All praise is due to Allah. You are too kind, Brother Editor James G., and I'm just so humbled once again to be joining my 3 brothers on this great platform, this great work that you all do each and every week.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we got you on. I don't know if you want to give a little background. Of course, you're the managing editor of the Final Call newspaper. You hail from Columbus, Ohio, I believe it is.
Yes, sir. I am a Buckeye.
A Buckeye.
So, from Columbus, Ohio. Actually, I was born in Ashland, Ohio, but moved as a little baby with my family to Columbus, and that's where I grew up and went to school. Went to the Ohio State University and majored in journalism. I subsequently, I think it was 1998, moved to Phoenix, Arizona. So I was in Phoenix for about 11 years and then decided to move back to the Midwest in the Chicagoland area and was blessed by Almighty God, Allah. My big brother, Brother Naba, Richard Muhammad, brought me on at the Final Call and taught me so much that I'm forever thankful to him for. I've told him before that I learned more from him about journalism and the ins and outs of, this work that we do. Learn more from him and what he has taught me than my 5 years at Ohio State. I said 5 years. I was on the 5-year plan. We won't get into that right now.
A few of us was on that plan, sister. Don't worry. Don't even worry about it.
But all praise is due to Allah. This is a mighty work and a mighty mission that I am blessed to be part of. An amazing team. And of course, we've got the best publisher on the planet, and that's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Absolutely.
Good.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. So we got you here today to just talk about that great newspaper that you produce each and every week. And I can't speak to the amount of effort that's put in by the entire staff. And in addition, the amount of stress that comes with it. Let's walk through it real quick. The current copy, current issue of the Final Call, you have the title, The Wheel and the Warning. I want to go a little bit page by page. I know normally you go, when you are on, you kind of go through it, but you don't, you just go through the very briefly. But I want to spend a little bit of time today just to talk about some of the articles that are in there so people can get a more in-depth idea of the kind of things that we talk about, so that when they do see our brothers selling the Final Call or even our sisters with our paper, that they will stop and support this important publication. So what do you have this week?
Well, you just let the audience know the cover of this week's edition of the Final Call newspaper, The Wheel and the Warning. Mm-hmm. So we just passed the 38th anniversary or commemoration of the More Than a Vision experience that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had, in which he received direct communication from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the wheel, what we call the mother plane, that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote of in, if you get your copy of Message to the Black Man, as well as I know one of the callers mentioned also The Fall of America, where the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about, what is this wheel in the sky? What is this mother plane? So this article this week, written by our contributing writer, Sister Anissa Muhammad, revisits that significant event of the minister's More Than a Vision experience. And we also have, of course, the minister's message, the announcement, in which he goes into detail about what happened to him on that night of September 17th, 1985, in Tepoztlan, Mexico. So we felt, because it was around the time of the minister's vision, this is something that, even though it happened nearly 4 decades ago, what was deposited by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad into the Honorable Mr. Lewis has come to pass. And I would really encourage our readers, Brother James, Brother Nabal, Brother BJ, to read the minister's words from the announcement, which is on page 20, which is the center article in this week's edition of the Final Call. You can also, if you visit noi.org, media.noi.org, the actual video from the announcement is on there as well. But there's so much that the minister shared with regard to that More Than a Vision experience. So we didn't necessarily do it as much justice. We could really write volumes on the minister's experience. Page 3 delves into what happened, and then, of course, the announcement. The minister goes into immense detail with regard to his communication with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And for those who may, want to, as the minister said, I believe towards the end of that message, before you make mockery of me, you're going to see these wheels, these baby planes over major cities, not only around the country, but around the world. And so I know we've also done coverage over the few years. There have been more and more sightings of what was formerly known as UFOs. Now they're dubbing them UAPs. But you've got military personnel, you've got government officials in various countries who are bearing witness. Yes, these things are real. They still have yet to come to the authority on this subject, which would, of course, be the Nation of Islam. But they're getting closer and closer. You've had presidents of the United States. I know Jimmy Carter, one, Ronald Reagan, I believe, another, who stated the day, in fact, as well, saw what they couldn't explain in the sky, what they dubbed UFOs. There were several years ago, about 2 years after, 2 years after I actually moved to Phoenix, a couple of years before that, there was an incident known as the Phoenix Lights, in which the wheels, if not the mother plane itself, was seen over the skies in Phoenix. And the governor at that time, I want to say it was Symington, I think was his name.
You've had presidents of the United States. I know Jimmy Carter, governor at that time. I want to say it was Symington, I think it was his name. You've had presidents of the United States. I know Jimmy Carter.
I'm sorry, am I coming through? Okay, I'm here.
I think we got some background.
That was my fault. That was my fault. Go ahead, Sister Star.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Go ahead. You're coming through loud and clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The governor of Phoenix at that time actually held a press conference making mockery of the reports that people were stating, hey, we saw some object over the sky in Phoenix, and the governor, in fact, brought out someone in an alien costume to really make mockery of it, only to a short time later confess that he too saw this object in the sky. So, brothers and sisters, the wheel, as we say, the wheel is real. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad directly communicated with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on this wheel. And even if you are not one who maybe subscribes to scripture. So if you've read the book of Ezekiel and you maybe still have doubts, or you've read about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his night journey, and you maybe have some skepticism about that. Well, you've got, for those who may want to subscribe, well, I'm just basing things on science. Again, you've got scientists, you've got military personnel for years who have said, look, we're seeing these objects in the sky. They're jamming up our radars, our signals. So this is very much real, and the sightings have been increasing. There was actually a website that was rolled out, I believe, earlier this month, where people are going to be able to report sightings. So the U.S. is a little slow because you have countries around the world who have opened up their UFO/UAP records for years, and the United States didn't. But as more and more of these sightings are being manifest, I think the United States is now getting to a point where they know that they can't shut their eyes anymore and just tell people that they're imagining things.
Yes, ma'am. Sister
Starla.
Sister. Go ahead, Rich.
Sister Starla, the interesting thing is the minister made this declaration in 1989. And he made it based on that experience, more than a vision experience, that encounter on the mother wheel with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But not only did he come back and say that he had gone to the wheel, he literally came back and talked about what he got from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which was that America had planned a war. Mm-hmm. And it was he came to understand that war was against the government of Libya and Brother Muammar Gaddafi at the time. Right. And so he delivered the warning from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then he was in the region. And he told this vision to then the late Brother Muammar Gaddafi, who was the leader of Libya at the time, and his military officials, because he came to understand that the war was planned against Libya. But it was also indicative of a bigger plan against the Nation of Islam as a small, budding Islamic nation in America, and also against black youth, coming against our youth under the guise of gangs and drugs. He told the Libyan authorities where they were going to bomb and what facilities they were going to hit, and it absolutely happened like that, exactly as he predicted. But the other thing was there was a very sophisticated aircraft carrier of the U.S. government, of course, in the region for this to support this attack. But a bright object was reported in that area at the time, and that sophisticated major piece of military equipment failed and had to go back to the United States for repairs. So the thing, brothers and sisters, this is confirmation, if you will, that you really need to look at this man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And you really need to read for yourself, because now the U.S. government, listen to me well, has admitted that these things exist.
That's right.
They've admitted that they exist. They've admitted that now that they've been studying them for years. They had a section in the Defense Department which was devoted to this. You had a special on CNN 60 Minutes a couple years ago. Now you got a whole public declaration from the government, right?
Right.
Somewhat 38 years. Did you say 38 years, Sister Starla, later?
Yes, sir.
38 years later now, all of this is coming out. Even though, as Sister mentioned, there have been indicators like this major sighting in Phoenix. It was major. What am I saying, brothers and sisters? I'm saying humbly to you that these men are not liars.
That's right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These men are divine warners. And if we're ultimately going to go free, there has to be a power in the world that's bigger than the power of the U.S. government. Now, the minister said this, 38 years ago? Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing it being put full in our face. But don't, brothers and sisters, be misled by the disinformation. The focus on little green men and aliens. That's not what this is about at all.
That's right.
Focus on the other parts that they say. That these crafts have been seen around nuclear facilities and military facilities.
That's right.
That they've made these facilities inoperable at times. Check out them saying that, in essence, they don't know where these crafts are coming from. Check out how they say these crafts perform, which defy the laws of time and gravity as we know it. Check out them admitting that these crafts are 50, 100, 200 years beyond what America has in the world today. So get the Final Call. Go to finalcall.com. Read this important article by Sister Anissa Muhammad, who's, again, one of our up-and-coming young female writers, young, Black, talented female journalists. And then read what the minister said in the announcement and consider that's 38 years ago. But then overlay that over what is being said today. Because we've got to stop. Mm-hmm. We've got to stop only being willing to believe or accept what the enemy tells us is real. Go ahead, Brother DJ.
Minister Ishmael is going to do part 2 on the will. Oh, my God. I mean, the lecture on Sunday, brother. Ishmael, he taught that thing on the wheel. So, brothers and sisters, make your way to 7351 Stony Island Avenue this Sunday and get part 2 of what we're talking about. Because one of the things, and I'll go back to you, Brother James, and Sister Starla, one of the things that he said that at the time that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was arrested by the FBI, they took him off the street by executive order from President Roosevelt. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the only man to have direct connection to the will. They took the drawings out of the temple. They got them at the FBI office. They have been knowing about the reality of the will, and they know that those powers are directly connected to the Nation of Islam. And I remember the minister said this in that interview with Martin Bashir when he asked him about the will. He said, there's a greater power in the world than the United States of America, and you soon will come to know it, and today is that day.
Yes, sir.
Brother BJ?
Yes, ma'am.
And the title of Minister Ishmael's message from this past Sunday was Farrakhan's visit to the wheel. And, of course, again, you can read it on media.noi.org. And actually this Sunday, Student Minister Dr. Wesley Muhammad is going to be continuing the subject, and his subject is entitled Face to Face with the Might of God. So, brothers and sisters, make sure you tune into that. And I'd also encourage, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has spoken extensively on his experience and also the purpose. He delves into great detail about the purpose of the wheel in his 58-week lecture series, The Time and What Must Be Done. I think there was about 4 or 6 parts of that lecture series that he dedicated exclusively to the will and the 2 natures of the will, the power of the will to destroy, and then the great life-giving will, the New Jerusalem. And one thing that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan also has taught us, and I believe Student Minister Ishmael mentioned it on Sunday, is these wills are the friend of the black man and woman. So we don't have to be afraid.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, Sister Starla, it's really amazing to me. It's really amazing that this man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has stood on the existence of these crafts and them being under the control of the divine supreme being and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He has never backed away from it.
Right.
He's never shied away from it.
Yes, sir.
He's never halfway talked about it. He has always gone full speed, full force with his explanation of it. So you really need to read the final call, and you need to listen to Sister Starla. Go to finalcall.com. Google The Time and What Must Be Done. A fantastic series by the minister. But so much of this is right on finalcall.com. And you know what, brothers and sisters? Guess what? It's free. It's free. You can go there right now, access it, and from there you can go to the video and you can read different transcripts where the ministers talked about these things. So let's not be misled. Let's not be, don't believe the hype. Because, you know, the devil always mixes truth with falsehood, right? So
Right.
he will give you some truth, but then he will color the truth. He will shade the truth. And then he'll get to talking about little green men and alien creatures and this and that. That's to throw you off. Don't get into it.
That's right.
Look at what they talk about with the solid scientific evidence. Don't get into they from another planet. No, get into how these things can stop on a dime in midair and go left, right, up, down, which is like impossible. Listen to the accounts of the pilots talking about watching these crafts fly at extreme speeds and in intense positions. Listen to the accounts of these crafts going underwater. Right? Don't believe the hype. But again, I just encourage you, and this is a great article, Sister Starla, and a great subject. And we aren't here to mislead you, brothers and sisters. We're not here to take you somewhere where you shouldn't go. We're trying with everything that's in our might, everything that's in our power, to, by Allah's permission, bring you light, life, power, and truth.
Come on.
So go start at finalcall.com and then go to noi.org and see Brother Ishmael's speech from last week, Sunday, and then tune in to Brother Wesley this Sunday. For brothers and sisters, if you're anywhere in the Chicago land area, or if you can make it to Mos Mariam this Sunday, make it your business to be there. 7351 South Stone Island Avenue. I believe doors open at 9 and the meeting starts at 10. Make it your business
Right.
to come to this beautiful, beautiful house of devoted to God. You will be treated royally. You will be our honored guests. We would love to, and it's a beautiful space, brothers and sisters. And you will be just as at home and at peace and just relax and just take a little time to listen to what the God blesses our brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, to talk about. Sister Starla, you want to talk about something else, or you want to stay on this? You got something else you want to get to?
If I can just add one more thing, Brother Nabai, and again, I can't stress enough, when you read the words from the announcement by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and like you said, 38 years later, it is still every single word that the minister spoke has come to pass and is coming to pass. And even though this announcement was made during the administration of, was it Mr. Reagan? But if you look at the subsequent HW or both Bushes, Clinton, Mr. Obama, and even under Trump, and now even with Mr. Biden, you see this continued war not only on the Nation of Islam and Black people in general, but of course then these Muslim nations. We see what subsequently happened to Libya and the fallout of what's in Libya today when they killed our brother Gaddafi. You look at the wars that have been perpetuated by the U.S. and the West against Muslim nations. So every single word that the minister spoke over 30 years ago is still coming to pass. And what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad deposited in him all those years ago, it's still coming through the minister, in my humble opinion, as divine revelation.
Yeah, absolutely, Sister Starla, absolutely. And brothers and sisters, look, the minister has talked about, starting from his vision 38 years ago, this whole plan to remake the Middle East. And you've seen how they destroyed Muslim nation after Muslim nation. And now they're trying, and they have continually tried, to destroy Iran. I was blessed by Allah to go to Iran with the ministers of some years ago. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I watched Minister Farrakhan. I watched them sit in a major think tank for Iran. He was hosted by a former foreign minister and former presidential candidate in Iran. And I watched the minister teach about the great Mahdi, who we believe appeared in America, Master Fard Muhammad. He said to our brothers and sisters in Iran that the Mahdi indeed had made his appearance in North America, and we know him as Master Fard Muhammad. The minister said, sitting right there in this room, that we believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Al-Masih or Messiah. And I'm saying everything that this man said, sitting in this room in Iran. And in Iran, you have the foremost scholars of the Mahdi and those who are committed to give their life in the cause of the Mahdi, which is this great prophetic figure in Islam, okay? This great prophetic figure that the Muslim world is expecting to return, and he's expected to return with Jesus. It's a whole lot in that. It's a whole lot in that. My point is, this man has held this position since what, 1977? Final Call newspaper was started in 1979. He has not wavered in what he said. Over 38 years, he has not changed his account of his more than a vision experience that night in Tepoztlan in Mexico. So I just want us to really look. I tell you, like Chuck D said, don't tell me that you understand until you hear it. That's right. Don't tell me that you understand until you have actually read what the man said. Until you've actually heard what he said. Until you have done just a little research, and so much of it is available at finalcall.com. And it's all for free. It's for you. It's for me. It's for our benefit. We believe that this is listen, brothers and sisters, listen. We believe this is the divine time of the rise of our people under God himself. And I'm not talking about no spook, no spirit. And I'm not talking about the power of God on one hand and being afraid to move one another. When you hear Minister Farrakhan, when you look at how he has moved and continues to move, you got to ask yourself, man, wait a minute, man. This man is 90 years old. He's had about, over 70 years of public life? Or almost 70 years of public life? He brought the Nation of Islam back after it had been destroyed. He brought forth the Millionaire March in 1995 by Allah's grace and permission, where nearly 2 million black men showed up in Washington, D.C. on a Monday, which people said was impossible. He has filled arenas and stadiums. He's taught in little churches and humble places. He's walked the streets, brothers and sisters. He's walked the streets comforting our people. He has defended black youth, black politicians. He's taught and been like a father figure, grandfather figure to the hip-hop community from basically since hip-hop started. He's been that constant. So when you see Ice Cube evolving a certain way, Minister Farrakhan has something to do with that. When you see P. Diddy evolving a certain way, the minister has something to do with that. When you see Snoop evolving a certain way, the minister has something to do with that. When you see Rick Ross evolving a certain way, the minister has something to do with that. I'm not saying that they're perfect, brothers and sisters, but I'm saying look at them. Look at the good that they're doing. Look at how Ice Cube has gone from doughboy to being a major entrepreneur. This is a man that went from niggas with attitude to being a prolific movie maker of films, not about gangsters and hustle, but films about black family life.
That's right.
Films about black neighborhoods. Films that you can look at and watch, and you can enjoy the comedy, but there's another side to that. Barbershop, beauty shop, are we there yet? On and on and on. So my point is, and I hope I'm being clear, look at this man, brothers and sisters. Don't let the liars and the detractors and the slanderers keep you away from a man whose only crime is that he loves you. And he loves you so much that he will challenge everyone for you, for your benefit, for your best interest. You don't see him attacking black elites. And when you hear him correct black people, trust me, nobody can correct black folk and tell the truth about what we need to get straight than Minister Farrakhan.
That's right.
But it's done, brothers and sisters, with such a sense of love. And I'll close on this. One thing that you all know, if you've heard the name Farrakhan, you know, or you should know, and I'm sure the vast majority of us know, when you hear Farrakhan speak, he's speaking. Ain't no white man pulling no strings. He's guided by Allah and the Christ.
Come on.
You know, just wanted to try to make some stuff clear, man, because we don't want to be unsuccessful in a day that's built for our success.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So, Sister Starla, where you want to go now?
Well, we do have a great article, Brother Naba, written by our national correspondent, Sister Charlene Muhammad, this week as well, the State of Homelessness 2023. The unhoused crisis in the U.S. continues to grow. And I was able to tune into your first segment when you all were discussing, you know, the union and their battle with the big three automakers. And, you know, one of the things pointed out in this article is that according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, on any given night in 2022, 600,000 people experience homelessness. I personally think it's probably a little higher than that. But it's gotten steadily worse. Part of it is because the average household has experienced about a 30% or more increase in rent. And this is according to the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies. Says between 2019 and 2021, that number increased by 1.2 million to a record 21.6 million households in terms of this rent increase, according to the State of Nation Housing 2023 report. Among these, 11.6 million people were severely cross-burdened, spending more than 50% of their income on housing. So if we just did that, I mean, I don't know about you all, but when I've looked up just for my own research, the prices of even a studio apartment nowadays, particularly in some of your major cities, I'm like, wait a minute, that's twice what a mortgage payment used to be. But it all boils down to as well, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his phenomenal book, A Torchlight for America, he's got a chapter that's called Greed and Leadership State of Mind, where he talks about, you know, the fundamental motivation in this society is greed and preying upon the weak of this country and the weak of the world versus sharing wealth in cooperation with the weak and the poor. And how this whole society is modeled after division and the old mindset, he said, of the haves and the have-nots, or the Lord and the servant, or the slave master and the slave. And so I think we're seeing that not only at play with what's happening with these various strikes, where you've got those who are the billionaires and, you know, the corporate bigwigs, as you will, really trying to choke out, you know, just people who are just trying to eke out and make a living for themselves and to take care of their families. And so, you know, things like these high rents, I mean, the cost of everything. I mean, going to the grocery store, you know, as you may go to Whole Foods, or some people call it whole check, you know, like they used to. So this story really delves into not only the current crisis, what's going on, but who, of course, is bearing the brunt of homelessness. So we know disproportionately it impacts our community, Black folks, as well as our indigenous brothers and sisters, and even Latinos with regard to the statistics. It says for whites, 11 out of every 10,000 people experience homelessness. But for Black people, that number is more than 4 times as large, 48 out of 10,000. And Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islanders have the highest rate with 121 out of every 10,000 people. And so even though you do have HUD that has rolled out a recent action plan that they said includes pro-housing and a new $85 million program to motivate states and localities to try to reduce the barriers for people when it comes to housing. I mean, when you really think of $85 million, that's kind of a drop in the bucket compared with, you know, what is really needed. And it's just, it's really difficult to understand how a country that is supposed to be, you know, the bastion of liberty and a good life for folks still has a problem with people who don't know where they're going to lay their head at night. When you have, like you all mentioned, the CEOs of the auto companies raking in literally paychecks of millions and millions of a year, millions of dollars a year for their own personal bank account, but won't give a decent or living wage to the people who really made them the millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah. You know, there's another group that's growing too with the homeless population is our seniors. They're calling what you're looking at now the senior tsunami of homeless senior citizens, because if a spouse dies or, you know, hospital debt, you know, hospital bills, and, you know, if your rent was $875 and then it went up to $1,700, now you got to come up with an extra, you know, $800. And sometimes our seniors are finding themselves being homeless. And this kind of goes back to what the minister's been teaching us about that atonement. We're going to have to atone with family members, and we're going to have to huddle up together to survive, because, you know, the minister told us, plan to survive. And whatever you got to do to secure your housing, you know, with a family member, a cousin, somebody, we got to start getting our ducks in a row to make sure that we have somewhere to stay.
Yeah, and the other thing is you know, often when we think about homelessness, we think about people on the street, but it's really bigger than that. You got people living on what is referred to often as couch surfing, where they're doing what you're saying, Brother BJ. They're actually living with family members. They're doubling up and tripling up because they just can't afford, you know, to be out on their own. But this is, again, brothers and sisters, the need for our unity, the need for us to come together, the need for us to be willing to sacrifice, and I'm going to just say it like this, the need for us to get behind a man and a program that works. That man is Minister Farrakhan. That program is a program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because not only is it an economic program, but at its core, it's a spiritual program that gets your mind and your spirit right, where you get a deeper understanding of what's going on, and that leads to a deeper understanding of what you need to do and how to work collectively and in harmony with one another. So, hey, I'm just saying, check it out for yourself. Let's do it now before this whole thing comes crashing down on our heads. So, Sister Starla, we got about 6 minutes or 5 minutes. Where you want to go now?
Well, I would like to, Brother Naba, we've got a great feature story written by Sister Chantel Muhammad, one of our contributing writers in Chicago. You know, our dear sister, Sister Carmela Muhammad, now known as Sister Nala Muhammad, owner of the foodie spot in Eat to Live. A couple of weeks ago, the Salam Community Wellness Center had a grand opening and ribbon cutting for their latest collaboration with the Eat to Live Urban Farm and Paradise Garden. And so, beautiful story. There's going to be fresh, vegetables grown in the garden. And then, of course, that will be utilized. Some of that will be utilized in the delicious dishes that are prepared at Eat to Live. So just a beautiful effort coming together and really moving out on what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gave us to do several years ago at the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, and making our neighborhoods a safe and decent place to live. And part of that is investing in our community. So Brother Akbar Kurt Muhammad, Sister Carmela, and Dr. Constance Shabazz, they had a beautiful, beautiful ribbon cutting a couple of weeks ago at Eat to Live. So want to, of course, encourage those listening to the program to make sure you go check out Eat to Live and get some of that delicious food and some of that delicious produce and healthy produce in the garden.
Yeah, and that's Let's Eat to Live restaurant is located at 621 East 67th Street, and the garden is right on the corner. So if you go over there, brothers and sisters, check it out. The whole block is being redeveloped. So you got the garden on the corner, you have a laundromat, then you have the Salam Wellness Center, then you have Let's Eat to Live restaurant, and then you have a building on the corner that's being now rehabbed at this time. So this is an example, brothers and sisters, of what unity, commitment, and really vision and love can do. Proper development of our community. We don't have to be at the mercy of others.
Right.
We really don't. If we will begin to come together and do for ourselves instead of hoping and praying that someone will do for us. We should hope and we should pray while we work.
That's right. And Minister Ishmael said this on Sunday. He said, stop living the life that the enemy has created for us, and we'll do just fine. So we got to do for self and come together. Sister Starla, you got any final words you'd like to say to the people?
Well, of course, I want to give my three brothers a shout out once again and encourage the listening audience to make sure you support Straight Word so we can keep this powerful and informative program running each and every week. Of course, when you see the FOI, the Brothers of the Fruit of Islam, out in your community with the Final Call newspaper, make sure you pick up a copy for yourself, but not just yourself, pick up a copy for a family member or friend as well. You can, of course, visit www.finalcall.com, which is our website. You can take out a digital subscription. You can also take out a print subscription. If you are in a city where you don't necessarily get them, you may not see the brothers, but we can get one mailed to you. You can also follow The Final Call on various social media platforms. The Final Call is on Facebook, is on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and also the new platform called Threads. So we appreciate your support, and we're hard at work. Of course, you already know, Brother Naba and Brother James, we're already hard at work on the next issue of the paper. But we definitely want to encourage you all to get this current issue featuring the will and the warning and also the announcement by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Sister Starla. You're doing a wonderful job. Put a big smile on our face every time you're on the radio with us. And we look forward to having you back on very soon. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right, we're going to head to the top of the hour. Brother Nabab, Brother James G., Brother Haroon is going to be joining us, and he is a photographer. This brother is a documentarian. He has been documenting the history of the Nation of Islam. He's going to share some stories and some of the photos of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, give us the story behind the pictures. So that's coming up in just a few minutes next hour. But donate, brothers and sisters. Donate. This show is not for free, like Brother Naba always says, and he puts it in a beautiful way. But the sense of urgency is now. We need your support now. So $ Straight Words on Cash App. $ Straight Words on Cash App. Please donate. 312-480-9775 on Zelle. 312-480-9775 on Zelle. And on PayPal, it's Straight Words, the number 4, at gmail.com. Straight Words are going to be back right here, WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. On WVON 1690, this is the Talk of Chicago. Every Tuesday night from 9 p.m. to midnight, it's the radio program called Straight Words with the editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper as your host, Brother Nabar Richard Muhammad. I'm Brother B.J. Murphy. Brother James G. Muhammad, the former editor, he had to step away for a minute, and we'll be back with us on next week. But we got a special guest that we got to talk to, brother. You've been with Brother Haroon for a long time, Brother Naba.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely,
Yes, sir.
man. This is a brother. I'm not going to tell his story. But I got to say, man, this brother, Haroon Raja'i, photographer par excellence, is really a treasure, man.
Yes, sir.
And he's just been working in this cause and loves the work that he does. So, Brother Haroon, assalamu alaikum, brother. Welcome to the show. You on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you, sir.
Okay, and
Assalamu
all right.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Good,
Doing well,
man.
sir.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I just wanted to say.
Well-
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, no, I was going to say, well, you can start, brother. Tell us something of your story.
Okay.
You can begin wherever you want. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Well, I just want to say that I just want to thank Allah Almighty for blessing me with this skill. And I just want to thank Allah Almighty for blessing me with the brother who got me started with this skill. His name was Hassan Muhammad Sharif. He was the eldest grandson of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his father and mother, they were. His father was the captain of the Fruit of Islam, and his mother was the one of the daughters of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So he got me started in this craft because I used to see him, with photographs, enlargements and everything, and I wanted to learn what he was doing. So one day he surprised me. One day he had it was a like a beige army bag I used to admire. And so one day he had this bag and he said, here, take this. I want you to look at this. Look inside. So it was 3 cameras.
Wait, Brother Ron, we're getting some noise in the background.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but if we could...
Can you hear me now?
We could silence it. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
It wasn't you, it was some noise, but that's even better, so go right ahead.
Okay. And so he handed me this bag. So it was 3 cameras in the bag. And he said, check them out. Let me see what you think about them. They were Pentax Spotmatics. So, it was one with a 50-millimeter lens, one with a 28-millimeter lens, and one with a 135-millimeter lens. So, I checked them out. I said, man, these are nice. So I handed the bag back to him. So then he hands me the bag back and said, no, man, these are yours. Brand new camera. And so so I was quite naturally surprised and happy. So that was my start as far as owning some professional camera equipment. So what it was, I had pestered him and would call him all kind of hours of the night to ask him questions. Oh, man, how do you do this? How do you do that? So what he did a couple of days later, he brought me a big shopping bag full of books on photography. He said, here, brother, read. So that's how I got started as far as learning photography. And I would go with him on a lot of assignments and just be, taking notes, from him. So one day we got into this discussion about since we were most black photographers, we were admirers of Gordon Parks. I asked him, man, how did you really get started in photography? He said, man, grandfather took a lot of pictures and influenced us in photography, which was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he said that the messenger took a lot of pictures. And so I asked him, I said, man, what happened to all of those images? He said, look, I have no idea, but he said, but if I ever find out, I'm going to see if I can get them and get my hands on it. But he was a great photographer. I learned a lot from him. And there was another brother named Bill Oniqua Wallace. He was a great photographer, and he was also a videographer. And his technique on printing, was outstanding. In fact, to be honest with you, man, his printing of black and white images was so good, you was almost afraid and almost embarrassed to shoot color. Yep. So as time went on, I started studying, building up, the skills in photography. So one of my first major assignments was on the Delphonics and this singing group called the Notations that was at Curtom Studios. You know, I did. The Delphonics came in Chicago, and they were doing studio, putting together some studio work with this group, the Notations, which were based in Chicago, and I did, you know, some stuff in there. And there was another assignment with Jerry Butler at that time when he had his Fountain publishing company down on I believe the 17th in Michigan at that time, and so that was another assignment. So as time, you know, went on, you know, I got to tell you the Jerry Butler story though. Really, what happened was what happened was with Jerry Butler is that I shot. He was performing at this club called the High Chaparral that was in Chicago on 77th and Stony Island. And so Hassan was supposed to originally did the assignment. He said, hey, man, I won't be able to make it. I got to do this stuff for grandfather, so I won't be able to make it. I said, okay. So he said, look, he set these cameras, you know, he set the aperture, you know, set the camera. So the only thing I just had to do was to shoot. So when I'm there, I shot some rolls of film according to how he had set the settings of the camera. But I felt that since I read the books and had a little bit of knowledge, I started turning different dials or the images. So when it came down to when Jerry Butler called me, he said, "Yeah, man, let's get those. Let me see those images and see what you got, you know." And I'm looking. So at this time, I was taking my film to this processing lab called Gamma. And so when I went to pick the stuff up, and my correction, Bodie's photo lab. That was Bodie's, okay, and then Gamma. So Bodie's, I went to pick the stuff up. I'm looking through these prints. I said, okay, wow. So as I'm looking, the stuff was blurred. It was out of focus. I said, oh man. I looked through another pack, and they were just messed up. So I didn't even look at the rest of the packages. So I said, oh man. So I called Hassan. I said, Hassan, man, you got to come down here and help me, man. I said, I shot some stuff on Jerry Butler, and I'd have told everybody I'd have did work on Jerry Butler and messed it up. He said, well, man, I can't come because I got this stuff to do with grandfather. And so quite naturally, I wasn't going to tell him, tell the messenger to wait, because I messed up some images. So what happened, I went down to Jerry's office. I'm sitting there, tears in my eyes. I said, oh, man. So we got inside his office. He said, okay, yeah, man, let me see what you got. So I said, well, look, Mr. Butler, before you look through these pictures, there's some that didn't come out too well. He said, well, okay, well, don't worry about it. We see what we got. So he was he kept looking through one pack. He was looking at the back, looking at the front. He said, And more and more, I'm looking at his facial expression. So then it was a stack that he looked. He said, "Oh, okay, I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. Oh, okay, I like that one." So it was a nice stack that he said, "I like these." I said, "So I was saying, what was he looking at?" So when he handed me to him, I said, "Hand me the photos." I said, "Okay, all right." He said, well, look at them and see what you think. I said, okay, you satisfied with these? He said, yes, sir. Yeah, these are great. He said, well, look, how long you been taking pictures? I said, Mr. Butler, not long, but I'm learning. He said, look, I'll make a deal with you. He said, as long as you taking pictures and you get better, he said, any photo that you take of me, I'll pay you for, and I'll get it for the rest of your days in your career as a photographer. And boy, I was excited, and was happy that he that he liked the stuff that I shot. So I did believe that they did print one of those copies in the Defender newspaper. So when I told Hassan about what happened, he said, "Look, man, I'm going to hook you up with Norman Hunter, who was the photographer for Jet magazine at the time, and Norman was good as far as concert photography." So he called Norman, and he said, "Hey, man, I want you to take my little brother with you to, shoot some of these concerts." So I was with Norman, and Norman's explaining to me about lighting, how do you shoot this, shoot that. And, so it was, I learned and started progressing. Now, moving up, I just started shooting a lot of street scenes, just people. And he told, so when I would be riding with Hassan, he said, look, I'm going to explain something to you. He said, don't become a snap shooter. He said a snap shooter just go ahead and just take a picture. He said a photojournalist, he said, make a picture. It has to tell a story. He always told me, he said, watch focusing. Remember, he said, number one, remember Allah. Always remember Allah. Keep your work clean and just keep working at it. And he said, you'll go a long ways, you know. In this skill. So as time went on, I had did some work for a publication called Black Stars magazine. I was working with another photographer. His name was Robert Thornton, and we did work, you know, with them for a while. And then as time went on, I got a chance to do some stuff with the Muslim Journal, working with Sister Aisha Mustafa, and at that time, and I did work with them, and then quite naturally with the Final Call. You know, I always wanted to do stuff with the Final Call at that time. How the situation with the Final Call developed, I bumped into Brother Wally downtown one time, and I had
this was our late editor who passed away.
Oh yeah, and I had asked him that, you know, do they need any more photographers for the Final Call? Well, he said, well, Brother Haroon, he said, look, he said, we already, you know, we're good as far as like we got a photographer. He said, but look, keep in contact with me, and we need you. He said, we'll call you. So I would call him periodically and ask him, do he need any, you got anything for me? He said, well, just, you know, not right now, but just keep in contact. So I always want to work with the Final Call because the Final Call had the type of the work, journalistic work that I always wanted to do. And so quite naturally, as time went on, I got a chance to meet, you know, Brother James G. and Brother Naba when he was Brother Richard at the time. So when I was doing stuff with the Journal, they always made sure that I had my press credentials on deck. They would always oblige me, always made sure that, you know, where do you want to go get your spots to shoot. And so that there had opened up the door for me to start working with the Final Call. Now, when I really started doing kind of more work for the Final Call, I never worked with a digital camera until Brother Richard gave me this Nikon D100, you know. So I was looking at this thing and was working this to see how it worked. So bought a book on it, asking some other photographers who do digital, and they was giving me the ins and outs on how to work with this camera. So I said, I'm going to learn how to do this because it's just something I always wanted to do. And so, but it's been a very beautiful experience to work in a black institution that's controlled by black people and that's orchestrated by black people. And I'm thankful to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for allowing me in travels to, when they, you know, go to certain situations and cities, that I'm called upon, you know, to come and work and you know, and deliver, you know, the best images that I can come up with, you know, for the Final Call. And it's a beautiful feeling to do work, you know, with the staff of the paper, you know, like I said, with Brother Naba, Sister Starla, Brother Tim has been a big help. Sister Tarika, you know, Sister Jennifer, Sister Marcella. I mean, you know, it's been great, along with the video crew and Brother Rasul, you know, opened up the segue for me to get certain images. The E team, and I just want to thank the Nation of Islam. Period.
Yes, sir.
You know, to
Brother Haroon.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Brother, we got Brother Haroon. He's a photojournalist for the Final Call newspaper. Brother's been documenting so many events throughout the years. Is there a photo that you've taken that our audience may be familiar with? Is there something that really stood out that was like I mean, all your photos are iconic, but is there something that stands out that people listening say, oh, man, that brother took that picture?
Okay, well, I have to say the Criterion.
Oh, wow.
The Criterion. That's when the minister was dressed in his all white, and it was when he did the Criterion. Yes.
Yeah, that was an incredible picture.
And also, there's another image at the Million Man March. You know, the picture of him when he raised up his hand. At that particular time, I had that 135 millimeter lens, and there was some of the photographers that knew me said, "How did you get that picture, man?" I said, "Well, I just have a way on." I said, "If I can't beat the 400 millimeter lens, since I didn't have a 400 millimeter lens, I'll be the 400 millimeter lens." So I was just creeping got as close as I can, and got that shot. You know, yeah. But there's so many that I've done. But those the ones that people recognize. When they talk me and they ask me.
Now, Brother Haroon, how long have you been in the Nation of Islam? When did you come in?
Since 1963.
Wow.
Yeah, I came in.
Man, I was
in 1963. My father got me acquainted with the Nation of Islam. And when he did that, we used to watch the Civil Rights Movement, the people being abused in the Civil Rights Movement on TV. And he used to say, "Man, they don't do the black Muslims like that." I said, "Dad, who are they?" He said, "You talk to your Uncle Oscar," which was my mother's brother. And my Uncle Oscar was the one who was responsible for getting me involved into jazz, black art, black thought, that type of thing. And so he took me to the Coliseum, Savior's Day. And so he explained to me that they were going to search me, not to be carrying a lot of stuff in my pocket. And so, quite naturally, I've been used to going to a church periodically. But then when I went down on at the Coliseum, and you look at all these brothers, dressed in these suits and these uniforms, and these sisters in white, and they were just a different breed of people. So when I going up there to the door, I'm looking at these maze of men, just like a assembly line production. You know how they'll search you. And I was just impressed, So when I got inside and heard the lecture, and when we were inside, I think we were sitting on the outer seats, and they had this group of men came, they stopped, turned, faced each other. Another group of men stopped and faced each other. I said, "Man, what's going on here?" So when I stood on the chair, and there was another group of men coming down between them, and I'm looking at this looked like a crown at the time. I called it a crown, which I know is a fez right now, but it was a crown. And I saw him, and I looked. I said, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Muhammad? Hey, how you doing?" And he stopped, and he looked at me. He waved, and I said, "Uncle Oscar." I said, he saw me. And he smiled. He kept on going. And, quite naturally, at the end of the lecture, he would greet and shake people's hand. So when we was standing in this line and shaking his hand, I told him, "I agree with everything that you said about white folks. They ain't no good. They devils. They this." And I was just fired up. So he said, "Well, maybe we can get young brothers like you to join us." I said, "Yes, sir." So I went to 5335 South Greenwood. I believe Minister Yusuf Shaw might have been teaching at the time at James Shabazz. And so they said, for those who want to accept the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, step forth. I came, they gave me the card, and I came in. And I was in the nation for over a year before my mother even knew that I was in the nation. So when...
Now, how old were you, Brother Haroon, at that time when you came in?
I was going on 14, going on 15 at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, at that time. So when my mother found out that I was in the nation, how she found out, at that time, they had what they call a princess phone, right? So she had two phones, and so I heard her say, Aaron X. And so I said, I said, Aaron X. So I went in the other room and picked up the phone, and they said, no. They said, "You must be talking about my husband." And they said, no, this is a little slender brother with glasses, and his name is Aaron X. I just wanted to let him know that we're going to come and pick him up for fruit meeting. And so I eased the phone down and sat back in the chair watching TV. She said, "Is your name Aaron X?" I said, "Yeah, Mama, I'm Aaron X." and you joined the Muslim? Yes, ma'am, I did. You let them people brainwash you? No, ma'am. I said, no, Mom, they didn't brainwash me. You know, this is something that's going to be good for all of us. Oh, boy, she got mad. She told me if I did not leave them within a couple of days, she was going to put me out in the street. And they set my stuff in the street. So what happened, there was one of my neighbors. They took my few books and my papers and my clothes and kept it in his basement, you know. And there's a man named Mr. Booth. They kept my stuff in his basement. So what happened was when I was at FOI at their FOI class, I was talking to some brothers about what had happened to me, and the Supreme Captain Raymond Sharif had overheard my conversation. He said, "Brother Aaron," he said, "Is it? I couldn't help but overhear your discussion that your mother put you out." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Where are you living?" I said, "Well, I'm living in the Southtown YMCA on 66 in Union. My friend named Ricardo Rodriguez's mother got me a room there." He said, he took out a little pad and wrote my information down. Next couple of days, he said, "The Holy Apostle wanted to see you." And I said, "Oh, wow." You know, and so they picked me up and took me. I believe the captain, it was Captain Edwin Ali, might have been, yeah. And they took me to the house, as we used to call the message's house, the house, okay? So I came in, and he greeted me, and he shook my hand, embraced me, said, we had to sit down. He said, "Can we get you some water, some juice?" I said, "Yes, sir, I'll take some orange juice." So they got me this orange juice, and he said, "Well, what's this I heard that your mother put you out?" I said, "Well, yes, sir, she put me out because I came into the nation." And he said, "Where are you living?" I said, "The Southtown YMCA." He said, "Oh, no, we can't have you stay there." He said, "If you find a nice place, nothing too expensive now," he said, "we'll make a way for you, you know, to get this place." So I looked in the Sunday's Tribune newspaper, 7251 South Phillips, and found this one bedroom, and you know, and went by. I think it was Silverwood Real Estate Company, and the captain went with me. And quite naturally, I got suited up and went inside. So he said, "Just go in there." And I had the cash money, and I didn't have no problem. So he didn't have to come in and sign anything because I looked like I had my hat and, you know, looking grown anyways. So and got the place. And I told him that the Holy Apostle that I would pay him back. He said, "No, just come in, just work in the nation." And from then on, you know, I would, you know, work in the nation, you know, at the Shabazz restaurant for a short period of time, then worked at the Salam restaurant, did some work with the Muhammad Speech paper plant, you know, doing stuff with the FOI detail, and your supermarket. So, and so as time went on, like I said, by the time when Hassan got me broke into photography, then I just stayed and just did as much work as I can for the nation.
Wow. Fascinating story right there. Fascinating, brother. Brother Haroon is here, and we're talking about his career in the Nation of Islam as a photojournalist for the Final Call newspaper. We got Brother John is standing by on the phone, and Brother Stanley. Let's go to Brother John. Assalamu alaikum, Brother John.
It was a surprise. We were going to hit him with some quiz questions, but that's all right.
Hey, Haroon.
Yeah.
He told the brother not to tell us.
Hey, Haroon.
Oh, my bad.
I got a question.
My bad. I read the note wrong.
I got a question for you, Haroon.
Yes, sir.
When did you decide to upgrade your phone? Your camera, I mean.
Well, you know what, man, let me see. I had shot with those. To be honest with you, if you talking about from my equipment. Okay,
yeah,
well, okay,
man, come on, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, look, I went to Olympics. I shot with Olympics. Okay, I moved up to Olympus. Okay, but then when I got to working for the Final Call, that's when I decided. It was to be honest with you, I was against digital photography. And how I got familiar with digital photography, I was at the Jazz Festival, and there was a guy named Steve Geary that worked for the Chicago Defender at the time, and we was watching Steve shooting all of these images and stuff, and said, "Man, he didn't change no film." So he pulled out this laptop, he took out this cord, plugged it in, and he was showing us what we were looking at. And he said, this is going to be the stuff of the future. So to be honest with you, when Brother Naba, at that time when his brother Richard gave me this camera, that's when I kind of got familiar with how to use a digital camera, and that's when I started bringing upscaling my equipment.
Well, I know you had
okay, but wait a minute. Is this John Alexander? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes,
when I bought a camera from you, I got a camera from you.
Oh, that's the point of this story, huh?
Yeah, because he's always.
So it really ain't about you.
No,
about him.
Yeah, about him. See, because he's always.
No, it's about Rich. It's about him, man.
No,
I just want to mess with my big brother.
Yeah. Look, John has been a big help. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes he'll look, because he's always looking to see what I'm shooting with, and see, like I tell him, he's these gadgeteers. See, look, the thing about this, see, what happens is, what the guys that I came up with, like with Hassan, Bill Wallace, Bobby Senstack, Brent Jones, John White, and Ted Gray and them, these guys at Philemon Najib, they were not into just gadgeteering. And what I mean by that, they just looking at an equipment, and they're not looking at the fact that what I was shooting with, I was still producing some good images. Because like I feel like this, if you got a Polaroid, I've seen works of people that have shot with Polaroids and have did some outstanding work. See, and then it all depends on the subject matter. I felt like this, regardless of what I was shooting with, if I was photographing the man of God, the baddest man that's on this planet Earth right now, that was good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's good.
Brother Haroon, everybody listening.
Yeah.
When I heard that Brother Haroon was going to be on tonight, I had to call my other brother photographer, Brother John Alexander. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of us two photographers calling in is we call in and say, we love you, brother, and we paying homage because, I refer to Brother Haroon as the samurai.
Yes, he does.
Samurai.
Yeah.
I just want, and everywhere I see Brother Haroon, and we've been working together for a long time, and Brother Haroon will tell you, I'm always telling people, I said, look, here, Samurai is here. Brother Haroon, take charge. And everybody looking at him like he's Michael Jackson. They're like, who is he? I said, you don't know, you better ask somebody. That's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
And look, and let me say,
what I say, Brother Haroon?
Yeah, let me tell you about Brother Stan.
But I just want to say we love you, and
we were just messing with you. That's all.
Brother Haroon has always helped me as a photographer. But go ahead, John, say what you want to say.
I just want to say, Haroon, he's been my big brother ever since we met each other. And when Stan told me he was going to be on tonight, I know I got to go early in the morning, but I was not going to miss my big brother and one of my best friends for life, online without giving him the support. You do need to upgrade to another camera, though.
Okay, but look, I want to say it's about John and about Stan. When it came to certain technical things, especially with Stan on the computer situation, he got me influenced into that. And John like when I used to watch John, we was at some restaurant and he would put out this laptop, be doing some stuff and then put these images in. Both of these brothers really influenced me as far as really getting involved into studying stuff in reference to a laptop connected with photography. And that's why these two brothers, man, I love them. We have a lot of fun when we see each other in the field and everything. And one thing about them, that if it comes to they're always there to help. They're always there, like I said, to help. And that's one thing I love about by being a black photographer, that we have a particular community among us. And it's just too bad when they talk about Richard Avedon and some of these other white photographers like Francesco Scavullo and some of these other. I say, hey man, I can point to my brother. I say, there's Brother Stan here, Brother Donald Barrett here, John Alexander here, even the Dot Ward here. So just as far as black photographers are concerned, hey, I feel as though that among us, we got treasures among us, and it's just too bad that people in the industry who knows how to handle images show more appreciation. That's why I love the Final Call, because the Final Call is a black institution that recognizes black art when it comes to photography. And I thank Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for that also, because he mentioned it one time about how important it is, for photography, for the images to redocument our own histories and situation.
That's right. Thank y'all, brothers.
This is the last thing I want to say about Brother Haroon. Brother Haroon, he don't talk about it, but Brother Haroon is a master of lighting, and he knows how to work that f-stop. So a lot of us photographers, we come in, we got all these flashlights, these lights go on top of our hot shoe on our cameras, and they're like, "Where's Brother Haroon flash at?" I said, "Boy, I don't know. That's why he's the samurai. You don't need no flash. He's a master at lighting. He know how to do it. He get what he get without a flash.
Go ahead.
And it's curved on spot."
Go ahead.
I want to call in and say we love you, and you are a shining beacon, and I'm glad to know you, and I continue to learn from you.
Yeah, I still got all my notes.
I learned so much about you tonight with this interview.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it.
All right, then, soldiers.
You ain't the partner over there.
All right, then.
All right, thank y'all, brothers.
Thank you,
Brother Haroon on. Brother Haroon is a photojournalist for the Final Call newspaper, longtime journalist in the city of Chicago. Brothers have some iconic photos. We got Brother Ronald on the line on WVON 1690. How you doing, brother? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sir, Brother Lieutenant.
I just didn't want the night to go by without paying homage to my brother, because I've seen his dedication, and he is truly dedicated, and not only is he the samurai, but he's been elevated to be the all-seeing eye of the FOI.
Go ahead now.
and if you listen to him, he's more than a journalist. He's a book.
Right.
All you hear is history in a glorious manner coming out of him. And so I just want to thank him and let him know I'm honored to know a brother of his caliber.
Wow!
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Lieutenant. He's our lieutenant of the Elite 50 Plus, and he the one. Right. Yeah, he the one that nicknamed me the eye of the FOI.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, that's why I love him, and oh man, it's just a joy just with Brother BJ and Brother Nava, Brother Editor, and Stalia. I just thank, for just always opening up the door and allowing me the freedom, to do what I do. And if you don't have any, like Brother Lionel, thank him because he rolls me everywhere. You understand? I call him the Black Cato, because when we got, because I say, man, we gotta go do this, do that. Boom, we get that, boom, and then we roll out. So I just love photographing our people. Because I look at as a photographer, once I start getting more entrenched into the nation teachings, especially of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Farrakhan, I just don't look at just somebody just as an image. I said, this is God's creation, and so I want to do a good work on showing God's creation to other creations of God. Because somebody had asked me one time, said, Brother Haroon, what is the definition of photography to you? I said, the definition of photography to me is using these alloys to make this instrument called a camera to record Allah's creation. I'm not doing anything. This is Allah's work. That's why I always said Bismillah Rahman Rahim, because it has been some situations that were shaky, but they came through, and like I said before, dude, especially when I'm photographing the believers, the minister, the Mother Khadijah, the Farrakhan family, which is a lot of fun, and just the believers, period, and just our people, because, go out, what Sister Starlers mentioned earlier about the situation with the homeless, when we go out and document to show the people as what's going on. That's why the final call is so important, and people need to really get into this paper, and I mean really, really support it and read it, and also support this radio show and this radio station. Because WVON is a historical station, and this program is we need support, and so yes, sir.
I want to ask you: do you have a photo in your possession that is dear to you, that you pull it out every now and then, and it does something to you, like the moment when you capture this photo? Mm-hmm. It just means it's like an intimate thing between you and the God in that photo. Is this something that you have in your possession?
I mean, right now, that I have in my possession right now? Or you're talking about just in general?
Just in general. I mean, any photos you've ever taken throughout your, taking pictures. Is there one special photo that you bring out every now and then?
Oh, man, to be honest with you, it's so many. It is so many. But I will say this one particular picture, I have to mention this. We were at Savior's Day, and Hassan was, I think we were like on the second balcony or something, and he was photographing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I said, oh, man. So he had me the camera. He said, you want to take a shot? I said, man, can I? And I took a couple of frames on it, and he blew the picture up for me. And I periodically, it's a black and white picture, the messenger had on this uniform, with his black fez, and periodically I'll pull that picture up periodically. I think we made it into an 11 by 14 print. But like I said, it's just so many. But that particular picture comes into mind because I think it was dear to me because I took a picture of a man that I loved, and that did a lot for me. Yeah. Yeah, but it's just so many, I've photographed with you all in the studio, with James and with Brother Lionel, and Brother Albert, man, just so many, man,
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you, Brother Haroon, I love you, and I mean, this is just, what can I say? The best thing I can say about my brother is that he's a Muslim, and he's a real brother. He really loves Islam. He loves to serve. He loves what he does. By Allah's grace, he don't miss an assignment, no matter what it takes. And one of the pictures, Brother Haroon, that I think is a really beautiful image, we used it on the cover a couple years ago. And this is when you went to Detroit.
Yes.
We had Sister Karima Muhammad, who works with Mother Farrakhan. Her daughter donated a kidney to this young sister.
She sure did, yeah.
And Brother Haroon went up to Detroit to get some pictures of her because we were going to feature her story on the cover of the paper. Yeah. And that image, brother, was so beautiful. It really captured so much the story we were trying to tell, and it really made that edition, that cover photo in particular, and then the other pictures as well. So, Brother Haroon, you've been doing this. How many years have you been a photographer now?
I got into photography in 1972.
Wow.
1972.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would you say if you were advising young people that have an interest in this craft?
Okay.
And, of course, everybody's at least taking pictures now because they all got cell phones and all of that.
Yeah.
But what would you advise young people if they want to get into this craft and into this special vocation that you've devoted so many years of your life to, what are some of the types of things you would say to them to encourage them?
Okay, well, the first thing, pick a subject that you like and do it with passion. Do it with passion. Study the history of photography. Study the history of black photographers, and study others too. Any and everything that looks like that has an image, study it. And work at it. Study the business of it. Study the legal ramifications on this craft. You do that, but you got to have a love and a passion for it, because just to pull up and snap an image and that's it. But it has to have a feel, because when I look at certain images, I have to feel it. Because sometimes certain people will tell you, say, "Hey man, just take the picture." No, there's a difference between taking the picture and then getting the picture. So you want the picture, see, because they can tell you to go on over here and look at this angle here, and it's a bad angle. But the thing about it is that you got to study lighting to make sure that you want the image to be clear. You want it to be clear. You have to study your lighting. You have to study the artificial lighting, and especially natural lighting. Now, like what Brother Stan was saying, my thing with natural lighting, the reason why I got so deep into natural lighting, because I didn't have studio lighting at that time, and I wanted some natural light to equate to studio lighting, because there was a guy named Richard Avedon, Francesco Scavullo, Hyro, guys like that did extraordinary work with lighting. So I know that since I didn't have the type of equipment at that time, well, then I wanted something to equate to that. So I just said that natural lighting is the best lighting. The light of Allah captures the real essence of beauty, and especially of our people.
Oh, that's something. Man.
Yeah.
The other thing, Brother Ron, is when I think about you, I think about you preserving history, and you documenting history, and you have a fascinating personal story and a fascinating personal history. That's why I wanted to just kind of take the opportunity to have you, share that.
Yes.
When you're taking photographs, what are some of the things that you're looking for? What are some of the things that you're hoping to do with any image that you're taking?
I guess so. In reference to, are you talking about reference to an assignment, or just when I take the picture?
Whether you're on an assignment or whether you're just out. Yeah, either way. Whether you're on an assignment, if you're just out and about, and because you basically carry that camera with you everywhere.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the things that you look for? What are some of the things that you see? That you see.
It has to have an impact with me, because I'll see it, but I got to, it's just like saying when you look at you say, I'm gonna give you an example. Say like if you go in and you shopping, right? You go past a men's store and you see a suit, you say, "Oh man, that's sharp." That's how I feel about an image when I see an image. Like I'm gonna give you a situation that happened just recently at the family day. Okay, in the tent, I got a chance to, take a picture of the minister with him that I sent to you, and I'm thankful to Supreme Captain Mustafa that did a good shot on it. So I set it up, and he grabbed some nice frames on it. But as the minister was greeting some of the people, some of the guests, I said, "Wait a minute!" I said, "I got to get Brother Knob in here to have a picture with the minister." So I kind of had in my mind how I want to shoot. I said, whatever happened, I got to have him facing me. So when I had told Brother James, he'll tell you, said, "Man, go get Brother Naba." And so when I told the minister, I said, Brother Minister, I said, "Brother Naba's here." He said, "Is he?" He said, "Where is he at?" So then when he saw you, quite naturally, you came into the tent, and then and you all sat. He sat you next to him, and I want to make sure that since the lighting was nice, it was nice. It was nice and soft. It was nice and soft, and it was clear. So I want to make sure that I had a strong picture with you and him, because that picture that was taken in that tent, and when we were at the farm, when you presented him the award that we got for that the publishers, the NNPA gave the final call an award, that it was a nice shot just to look at the glee in the minister's face when Brother Naba was giving him, showing him the award, So stuff like that is I have a feel, and that made me feel good to know that, hey man, this man is the editor of the paper, this is the most powerful newspaper on the planet, and hey, I didn't want to feel, I just didn't want to feel like he was left out. That's the way I felt about it, and I see some of the young people, the children, when the young brothers be outside of the mosque, with the final call papers or something like that, or brother Lionel, meeting brothers, man, who had just came back from being incarcerated, when they finally come to the mosque to show, like Brother Cedric and Brother Albert and many of the others. And, Brother Malik and them, and just to show the transition from point one to where they were to where they're at right now, and to capture it. And I just believe in just capturing moments, because moments are important, and especially when I think about Brother Khalil. When I took a picture of him at the Salam restaurant, and then he's no longer here with us, but then we ran the story on him, and that picture was taken at the Salam, so that was dear to me, and just think about the people who are no longer here, So
yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's I just feel as though that when people ask me, say, man, about being photogenic, and especially women in particular, they'll ask, I'm not photogenic. I say, yeah, you are photogenic. They say, well, what is photogenic? I say, any and everything in Allah's creation is photogenic. You can take a picture. Anybody can take a picture, but it all depends on the creative aspect on how you want to put it out there. Anytime somebody like an Andy Warhol can take a picture of 2 cans of Campbell's soup, you understand, and then put some filter on it and get millions of dollars for it. And then when I sit back and think about the John Alexanders, the Stans, and all other photographers that I mentioned, Hassan Sharif, took outstanding images, I said, them $1 million pictures to me, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Wow. And like I said, when I see you brothers in the studio, I said, this is, okay, the radio, they're in this WVON studio, getting the show off, just the caption, just to show the moments. It's a moment. These are moments. Moments are very, very valuable. And black moments are very important to me. Sometimes when I go among the Indian nation and when they have their powwows, to shoot stuff, the entertainers that I've done stuff with, the OJs, the Delphonics, the Whispers, the Dells, Gladys and the Pips, the Dramatics, just so many that the notations that I've studied, James Brown, Nancy Wilson, Dizzy Gillespie, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Sarah Bond, just,
yes, sir.
Just moments.
So many.
Yeah, moments.
So Brother Haroon, is there any particular place where your photos are housed that we can see them?
Well, you can go, a lot of stuff you can see on Final Call Facebook. You can see a lot of my stuff on Final Call Facebook. You can see a lot of my work. I am going through my work to put together an exhibit. As I'm going through the work and condensing it down and putting it into categories, I definitely want to put together a large print exhibit. And if I do it, I like to house it at MUI.
Yes, sir.
I like to do it there first, because that's the hub. That's the stomping grounds for me. So some of these other people, I've seen exhibits at these museums, but, hey, we got a spot. That's a historical site, Muhammad University of Islam, and I'm a student of Muhammad University of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Yeah.
Brother Haroon, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's been wonderful to hear from you. And if you go to my Facebook page and my Instagram, you can see some pictures as well. If you look on X, which used to be Twitter, look up Haroon, HAROON, RAJAEE. He's there. He's also on Facebook. But, he takes pictures of me and got some beautiful images of my daughter. And so thank you. Brother BJ, I think we almost done for the night, right?
Yes, sir. We done. Beautiful night tonight on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. We're going to be back with you on next Tuesday, brothers and sisters, from 9 p.m. until midnight. And you can donate your best donation to us and keep Straight Words on the air. And what you need to do is go to your Cash App, pull it out right now before you go to sleep. $ Straight Words on